My name is David, and I want to tell you my story. It is a story of pain, but also a story of hope. It is a story about falling down and getting up again. It is my life. I was born in a small village. My parents were farmers. We were very poor, but we were happy. My father worked hard in the fields every day. My mother took care of our home and cooked delicious meals. I had one younger sister named Anna. She was 5 years younger than me. I loved her very much. When I was 10 years old, something terrible happened. There was a big storm. The rain fell for 3 days without stopping. The river near our village grew bigger and bigger. On the third night, the water came into our village. It came fast, like an angry monster. "Wake up! Wake up!" my father shouted. "We must leave now." My mother grabbed Anna. My father took my hand. We ran outside. The water was already up to my knees. It was cold and dirty. We ran toward the hill, where the land was higher. Many people from our village were running too. Everyone was screaming and crying. We were almost at the hill when I heard my mother scream, "Anna! Anna!" She had dropped my sister in the dark water. Without thinking, I jumped into the water. I searched everywhere, but I could not find Anna. The water was too strong. It pulled me under. I could not breathe. I thought I was going to die. Someone grabbed my arm and pulled me out. It was my father. He carried me to the hill. We were safe, but Anna was gone. The water had taken her away. My mother cried for days and days. She stopped eating. She stopped talking. She just sat and stared at nothing. My father tried to be strong, but I could see the pain in his eyes. He had lost his daughter, and he was losing his wife too. I felt so guilty. I had tried to save Anna, but I had failed. Every night, I dreamed about her. I saw her face in the water, calling for help. I woke up crying and sweating. The pain in my heart was unbearable. 2 months after the flood, my mother died. The doctor said her heart just stopped. But I knew the truth. She died of a broken heart. She could not live without Anna. Now it was just my father and me. We had lost everything: our home, our farm, our family. We had nothing left. We moved to the city to find work. We lived in a tiny room in a poor neighborhood. The room had no windows. It was dark and dirty. Rats ran across the floor at night. My father found a job at a factory. He worked 12 hours every day. He came home tired and sad. He never smiled anymore. He never talked about the past. It was like a part of him had died too. I wanted to help, so I stopped going to school. I was only 11 years old, but I needed to work. I found a job at a restaurant, washing dishes. The owner was a mean man. He paid me very little money. He shouted at me when I made mistakes. Sometimes he hit me. I worked from morning until night. My hands were always red and sore from the hot water and soap. I was always tired and hungry, but I did not complain. I had to help my father. We had to survive. 1 year passed, then 2 years, then 3 years. Life did not get better. My father became sick. He coughed all the time. He could not work anymore. Now, I was the only one earning money. I was 14 years old and responsible for everything. I took a second job, delivering newspapers in the early morning. I woke up at 4 o'clock, delivered papers until 6, then went to the restaurant until 10 at night. I worked every single day. I had no friends. I had no time for anything except work. One cold winter night, I came home and found my father on the floor. He was not moving. I ran to him and shook him. "Father, Father, wake up." But he did not wake up. I called for help, but it was too late. My father was dead. I was completely alone now. I was 15 years old, with no family, no money, no home. I cried until I had no more tears left. I felt like giving up. I felt like dying too. The landlord kicked me out of the room because I could not pay the rent. I became homeless. I slept on the streets, under bridges, in parks. I ate food from garbage bins. I wore the same dirty clothes every day. People looked at me with disgust. They crossed the street to avoid me. I was invisible, worthless, nothing. Winter was the hardest time. The cold was terrible. I wrapped myself in old newspapers to stay warm, but it was never enough. My body hurt all over. I got sick many times. I coughed blood. I thought I would die on the streets, just like a dog. One freezing December night, I lay under a bridge, shaking from the cold. I could not feel my fingers or toes. I closed my eyes and prayed. God, if you exist, please help me. I cannot do this anymore. Please, just let me die. I do not know how long I lay there. I started to fall asleep. They say that freezing to death is like falling asleep. You just never wake up. I was ready for that. But then I heard a voice. Young man, are you alive? I opened my eyes. An old man stood above me. He had white hair and kind eyes. He wore a warm coat and held a lantern. Can you stand up? He asked. I tried, but I was too weak. The old man put his arm around me and helped me to my feet. Come with me, he said. You cannot stay here. He took me to a shelter for homeless people. It was a big building with warm rooms and beds. There was hot food and clean clothes. I could not believe it. It felt like a dream. The old man's name was Father Thomas. He was a priest who ran the shelter. He took care of poor and homeless people. He gave them food, shelter, and hope. What is your name, son? He asked me. David, I whispered. My voice was weak from not talking to anyone for so long. David, you are safe now, Father Thomas said. Rest tonight. Tomorrow we will talk. That night, I slept in a real bed for the first time in months. I was warm. I was safe. I cried tears of relief and gratitude. The next morning, Father Thomas sat with me. I told him my whole story about Anna, about my mother, about my father, about living on the streets. He listened quietly, nodding with understanding. When I finished, he said, David, you have suffered more than anyone should suffer. But you are still alive. That means your story is not over. God saved you for a reason. What reason? I asked bitterly. What is the point of living? Everyone I love is dead. I have nothing. Father Thomas smiled gently. You have yourself. You have your strength. You survived when others would have given up. That is a gift. Now you must decide what to do with that gift. I did not understand his words at first, but Father Thomas did not give up on me. He let me stay at the shelter. He gave me small jobs to do, cleaning, cooking, helping other people. Slowly, very slowly, I began to feel human again. Father Thomas also made me go back to school. Education is the key to a better life, he said. I was 16 now, and I had not been to school in 5 years. It was very difficult. The other students were younger than me. They laughed at my old clothes and my rough hands. The lessons were hard because I had forgotten so much. But I studied every night. I read books. I asked questions. Father Thomas helped me with my homework. He believed in me, even when I did not believe in myself. 1 year passed. I finished 1 grade, then another. I made a friend at school, a boy named Michael. He did not care that I was poor or homeless. He just liked me for who I was. We studied together and talked about our dreams. What do you want to be? Michael asked me one day. I thought about it. I want to help people, I said. Like Father Thomas helped me. I want to give hope to people who have lost everything. Michael smiled. Then you should become a social worker or a teacher. I liked that idea. I started to dream about the future. For the first time in many years, I felt hope. But life is never easy. When I was 17, Father Thomas became very sick. He had cancer. The doctors said he did not have much time left. I spent every free moment with him. I read to him, talked to him, thanked him for saving my life. He smiled weakly and said, "David, you saved yourself. I just showed you the way." Father Thomas died 3 months later. I cried at his funeral, but they were different tears. They were tears of gratitude and love, not just pain and loss. Father Thomas had taught me that death is not the end. The love we give and receive lives forever. After Father Thomas died, I had a choice. I could give up again, or I could honor his memory by continuing his work. I chose to continue. I studied harder than ever. I graduated from high school with good grades. I applied to university to study social work. I got accepted, and I even received a scholarship because of my difficult background. University was challenging, but I loved it. I learned about psychology, sociology, and how to help people in crisis. I thought about my own life and all the pain I had experienced. Now I understood that pain could become purpose. My suffering was not meaningless. It had prepared me to understand and help others. During my university years, I volunteered at the same shelter where Father Thomas had saved me. I helped homeless people just as he had helped me. I gave them food, clothes, and most importantly, hope. I told them my story. I showed them that change was possible. One day, a young boy came to the shelter. He was about 15 years old, thin and dirty, with scared eyes. He reminded me of myself. His name was James. He had run away from an abusive home and had been living on the streets for months. I sat with James and listened to his story. Then I told him mine. I said, "James, I know your pain. I have been where you are, but you can survive this. You can build a new life. Let me help you." James looked at me with tears in his eyes. "Do you really think I can change?" "I know you can," I said. Because I did. I helped James just as Father Thomas had helped me. I got him into school. I helped him find a part-time job. I encouraged him every day. Slowly, James began to change. He started to smile. He started to hope. I graduated from university when I was 22 years old. I got a job as a social worker with homeless youth. My salary was not high, but I did not care. I was doing what I loved. I was giving back. Every day, I met young people who had lost hope. They had difficult families, addiction problems, mental health issues, or they were just lost and alone. I helped each one. I listened to their stories. I showed them compassion. I gave them resources and support. Some of them changed their lives. Some of them did not. But I never gave up on anyone because Father Thomas had never given up on me. Years passed. I continued my work. I helped hundreds of young people. Some of them came back years later to thank me. They told me they had jobs now, families, homes. They said I had saved their lives. But I always told them the same thing Father Thomas had told me. You saved yourself. I just showed you the way. When I was 30 years old, something wonderful happened. I met a woman named Sarah. She was a teacher who volunteered at the shelter. She was kind, smart, and beautiful. We became friends, then we fell in love.
Sarah knew all about my past.
I told her everything on our third date. I was afraid she would leave me when she knew the truth about my painful life. But she did not leave. She held my hand and said, "Your past made you who you are. It made you strong and compassionate. I love you because of your journey, not despite it." We got married 1 year later. It was a small wedding at the shelter, with all the homeless people and volunteers as our guests. I wished Father Thomas could have been there, but I felt his presence. I knew he was smiling down on us. Sarah and I built a life together. We adopted 2 children, a boy and a girl who had been in foster care. We gave them the love and stability they deserved. We created the family I had lost so many years ago. I am 40 years old now. I still work with homeless youth. I have also written a book about my life called A Life of Pain and Hope. I travel to schools and communities, telling my story, inspiring others. People often ask me, "How did you survive? How did you not give up?" I tell them the truth. I did give up. Many times. I wanted to die. But someone showed me kindness when I had nothing. Someone believed in me when I did not believe in myself. That kindness saved my life and gave me purpose. I also tell them this. Pain is part of life. We all suffer. We all lose people we love. We all face difficulties. But pain does not have to be the end of the story. Pain can be transformed into purpose. Suffering can make us stronger and more compassionate. We can choose hope, even in the darkest times. Last week, James, the boy I helped 15 years ago, came to visit me. He is 30 years old now. He is a teacher. He has a wife and a baby daughter. He thanked me again for helping him. "You changed my life," he said. "No," I replied. "Father Thomas changed my life. I just passed on his gift to you. Now you can pass it on to your students." James smiled. "I already am." That is the power of hope. It does not stay with one person. It spreads from heart to heart, generation to generation. One act of kindness can change everything. Tonight, I sit with my wife and children. We eat dinner together and laugh. I look at their happy faces, and I think about my journey. I think about Anna, my mother, my father. I think about the cold streets and the moment I wanted to die. I think about Father Thomas and his kind eyes. My life has been full of pain. I lost my family. I suffered hunger, cold, and loneliness. I experienced things no child should experience. But my life has also been full of hope.
I was saved.
I was loved. I found purpose. I built a new family. I help others. If I could go back and change my past, would I? I do not know. The pain was terrible, but it made me who I am today. It gave me compassion, strength, and purpose. It taught me that hope is possible, even in the darkest night. This is my life, a life of pain and hope. And my message to anyone who is suffering right now is this: hold on. One more day, one more hour, one more minute. Help is coming. Hope is coming. Your story is not over. The best chapters may still be ahead. Never give up. Never stop hoping. Never stop believing that life can get better. Because it can. I am living proof. Now that you've seen the whole story, we would really appreciate it if you rate it from 1 to 10 in the comments. Your thoughts help us improve and make sure we bring you the kind of stories you truly enjoy.